Okay, chalo, let's begin the session. Good evening once again to everyone. I hope my voice is audible and slide is visible to everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
If there is any disturbance, whether you are not hearing my voice or the slides are not visible, please let me know. Okay, let's begin. First, let me introduce myself to every one of you. Hi, this is Sangeeta Verma, also known as Sangeeta Verma. I'm a counselor right now. With the help of Learn With platform, we are communicating to each other and knowing some of the knowledge and aspiring the knowledge about different HR topics. So in the slide, you can see my information. I have MBA with Banking and Finance and recently completed my MPhil in Business Management. And in the slide, you can see my working experience with different industries, different years. But currently, I'm associated with the KD organization as a TCM, and my 6th year is already completed, 7th year running on. Along with that, as a freelancer with Learnovit. So let's thanks to Learnovit for getting us virtually connected. So, guys, for today's topic in the HR is employee counseling, and in this session, we'll know what is employee counseling, why it is important to give counseling to the employees, means where they need it, what are the functions, types, objectives, and the counseling process to the employees. Counseling in a general form giving to people, students is different, but to employees there are specific ways of giving counseling. Requirements for effective counseling, some of the samples, in conclusion and question answer sessions. So first, let us understand what is counseling. We all know that it's a two-way process in which a counselor, usually a superior, provides advice and assistance to their subordinates. There are many occasions when an employee feels the need for counseling. And when we talk about employee counseling at workplace, it's obviously performance counseling, means a way how to believe on a psychological therapy for employees of an organization by with the help of which there can be the sharing, guidance, advising, change in attitudes, helping nature, and everything comes up. So counseling is basically you can take it as a therapy, advising someone for doing something or making some choices, letting them to make a change in their behavioral attributes or a way of working or understanding, and even in the perception, helping hands comes over there when a counseling is there. Sharing, you might be going with some of the emotional traumas, then after some mental traumas, and then work traumas. So that all can you can share with a person who is senior to you or colleague to you or with whom you are friendly, and even with your with your parents, the guidance from where you get. If we see the basic form of a counseling comes with our parents. From our childhood, we are associated with them and we require and they keep on giving counseling us in every stepping stone of our life, whether that is in education, whether that is in our different changeable environments, then workings, then it comes with the choices of friends and many things. So we in a way we are habituated to get counseled by our superiors. So that comes with there. And when performance counseling, it is nothing. It's nothing like it's in a way of a senior, a colleague, a subordinate helping to the members of the team in order to improve the work performance. It is in effect process of guiding by a subordinate to adjust the work quality, the performance quality of the employee, and to attend. the advice and purposeful. So, employee counseling may be informal or formal. Informal counseling may be on a way of a day to day working relationship with a manager or the subordinates or with the same colleague members without plan or schedule. But when it comes with the formal employee counseling, it involves a planned and systematic program of advertising and assisting employees by the subordinates. It might be a company might hire professionals or experts in order to have a giving or providing counseling to their employees, or there might be a separate permanent counselor to the organization who, in a way, helping out the different department employees in order to deal with their day to day work struggles and then bring the quality in the work, bringing quality in the performance. So, workplace counseling is mostly done to help the employees in order to strengthen the relationship between subordinates, colleagues, and superiors. So it improves communications and even helps employees to recognize the strength, weakness, and potential which is required or which they are unknown or unaware of, and they where they can work on it. So even it helps to prepare different action plans for the career development and own personal and professional development. So counseling helps to solve employees' problem and to prevent future problems. So it plays both curative and preventive roles. Performance counseling involves assisting the employee to understand the weakness and then assist him to identify the extent to which he or she can overcome and by the different unknown factors which are directly or indirectly playing in the work performance or not letting them to show off their competencies. So over there they can deal and understand the factors contributing to it. So it can strengthen the ability, the quality, the skills, or even it can let them understand the demerit factors because of which they are not able to provide the outcome or the result expected by seniors or the organization. So over there they can work on. So it is like making you improving your competencies, your qualities, and bringing out on the performance. So, dealing with the strength, weakness, a psychological therapy which employee needs, and it is very these days. What is happening is like many of the organization department wise they provide counseling to every employee whether their work is great outcome is okay or not okay doesn't matter, but they give the counseling therapy in order to deal with different factors which can influence their personal life and professional life. So it's completely a process of advising an employee so as to enable him or her to overcome their emotional problems, right? And discuss those problems and bring out the conclusion and letting them to perform on a process of work, enhancing their communication effectively, letting them to understand the concepts of how to tackle with different situations and different conflicts in the organization and dealing with workplace environment and nature. So I hope a counseling definition is understood to everyone. Okay. Let's understand why need for employee counseling. It is you can say there are different factors because of which an employee might need counseling. From them, six are like issues of your personal life affecting your work life. help employees easily adapt the change in the workplace, improves mental health of the troubled person, leave problems aside when entire the workplace. The most valuable asset to an organization is its human resource. There is no doubt in that. Physical, mental, emotional, and social well being makes a perfect employee. It is a source of organizational change. So let's understand it in a very different, in a proper way. Like as it says that issues of a personal life affecting your work life. It's like having a conflict in personal life, frustration, stress, anxiety, laziness, uh, uh, not able to give the proper response that whether that is needed physically or needed mentally or emotionally. So these things do affect your work life, and in order to not let these things to affect your work life, if you feel that you need a way of dealing with the counseling, or your seniors think that you really require a counselor in order to tackle with all these things, go for it. So this the organization does it, and then helps employees easily adapt the change in the workplace. Let's take an example. Suppose you were working in different department, and all of a sudden your department changes. Obviously, you go with different things. You miss your friends, you miss your senior, you even miss your work, because when you shift to another department, obviously you go to the new learning phase where you need to learn as you are in a new department. You get an proper way of dealing with different people. You have already been adapted to some of the situations, some of the peoples, and now you're changing it. So it does affects your mind, it affects your work. Not letting all those things to affect in your professional life, employers figure them out to the employees who need it, or employee himself or herself thinks that they really need to talk to someone in order to tackle all these things. So it helps employees to adjust in the different changes in the workplace. Then improves mental health of the troubled person, leave problems beside when entering the workplace. You can say that some people might be disturbed in their personal life, and they're not able to bring out in their work 100%. So what happens, they slowly and gradually develop a habit of avoiding the work, taking many much more leaves. The person who was not taking leave for continuous 6 months, all of a sudden the employer is finding out that the person is taking leaves twice a month, thrice a month, 6 10 days in a month, like that. So at that time, even organization and the employers need to understand that the person is in a need of a proper counseling, and it helps to relax the mental trauma stress and then come back to the original frame. And then it says that the most valuable assets to an organization is human resource. There is no doubt. You have a big organization, you don't have a proper human resources as an asset, your organization gonna collapse, because you need everything. And the basic resources, human resources, they are the most valuable asset. They might help you, they might help to the organization or the employer in their crisis time also in a very drastic way. So you need to value your employees and see whether some of the things are affecting their personal life or professional life. You develop a way of letting the open door for the communication with them. They can share their problems and issues and take an advices from the seniors, subordinates, or the employer. Physical, mental, emotional, and social well-being makes a perfect employee. If an employee is happy in your organization, in their personal and professional life, it affects directly to the goodwill of your organization, future goal assessment of the organization, and letting your organization go on a hierarchy basis on an upward way. So the workplace employees, the employees who are in their workplace, if they are physically fit, physically energetic, no more stress, no more frustrations, and they know how to separate personal life and professional life with a thin corporate life. Then also emotionally, they are strong means they know where they have to show the emotions and they know where they have to hide their emotions. But with that, socially, you can say social butterfly in an organization, talking with every department and peoples, having a cordial relations, and then all these things and qualities makes a perfect employee. And when the employee is perfect, organization itself is a play perfect because that organization made the employee perfect. The environment, the culture, the work traditions, and the superiors, colleagues, seniors, all these things affects to the employees. So you need to value your human resources and let your employees be on a win-win situation of a happy mood. Then it's a source of organizational change. Obviously, counseling is a way of letting bringing out so many changes in people, even an employee, in an ordinary person also. Because when the department changes and the employee is ready to accept the change, work according to that, deal with that. Plus point. Place changes, location changed, seniors and subordinates changed, colleagues changed. Those changes becomes really acceptable to the employee, and then the outcome of the organization never get hampered by such employees. To employ needs in different situations, they need a counseling way. They might be knowing it, or the seniors, subordinates, colleagues, and the employer or the organization should figure it out that they are in the requirement of counseling. Till here, any confusion, guys? Please revert back. Any confusion? Okay, let's go to the next slide then. Even it is here like, even there are certain, like, why in order to make your employees happy, moral, motivated, content, feel good, expert. When, like, there are certain queries, no, why, when, and how, when they need it, when you understand that they need it, when unrealistic targets, when you they go with the unrealistic targets, no, they become stressed, frustrated, and they start avoiding the work. You need to understand they need a counseling. Excessive workload, absenteeism and late coming, lack of awareness of policies and procedures, performance issues, skipping deadlines, skipping deadlines in the work or the project or assignments, career problems, then responsibility and accountability, lack of team spirit, interpersonal relations with the subordinates, problems in adjusting to organization culture, and family problems. And why they need it means check down the career path, retaining valuable employees, organizations, okay? They need to check the career path, retaining valuable employees, effective communications, growth for employees, ensure transparent environment, put problems on the table for open evaluations and draft resolutions, clearly define expectations, ensure employees follow ethical standards, company rules, common culture, etc. So, if these things also are to be aware to the employees, and if they are not, please counsel them. That's the main way of telling it out when and why. And what now? Let's come to the functions of employee counseling. How does an employee counseling cycle works actually, right? So if you see employee, let's see first understand employee life cycle. What is the life cycle of employee? Mostly if you see, what is it, they get started, then first an organization attracts to the human resources in order to hire, so attracts, then they get hired and they start working, and in the phase of working, obviously, development phase comes in their career path. That is to be understood. Then they manage performance. Every time they think that my performance would be 100%. If there is a lacking, let me correct it. Let me go with the different concepts. All these things should be there in an employees. Then engage and motivate. Keep engaging your employees. Keep motivating your employees. Keep giving the uh, you can say reward to your employees, recognition. If something happened good of any of the team members, give the recognition. Do not Team leaders are not supposed to take all the recognition to themselves. Then at the end, they work for you, they give 100% of their lifetime career growth to you in order to enhance your organization, providing the to attain the future goals of the organization. And at the last, they get farewell and they are tata bye bye from organization. But it becomes an important for the employers or the organization in order to value their employees who have given their lives 80% to organizational growth, success, and goal assessment. So, in that way, if your employees are happily doing it, always happy, obviously they refer your organization to others also, and they are ready to work with you in any sort of crisis though also if the counseling process is proper, understanding process is proper, and if the organizational employee understands the human resources are the actual assets for the organization. If employees are happy, organizations are happy, and customers are happy of the organizations. So clients and customers are happy. So the organization, the superiors, the employers, the subordinates, the colleagues, and they also share a cordial relation, cordial communication, door open, and time to time advising, giving suggestions, not forcing them to take decide on their behalf, but letting them decide on their own after giving certain advices and choices. So that should be there. And it comes now, let's understand functions of employee counseling. Advice, traumatic events, relationship issues, physical health, change, personal stress, emotional health, bereavement, relationships, phobias, family issues, financial problem, and work stress. All these has to be like addressed by a organization, or you can say the expert which an organization has hired in order to give provide counseling to the employees. So when the counseling works, employee counseling deals with all these topics in of an employee. Like an employee might be having a work stress, is not able to work, they need a counseling. Traumatic events, certain events the organization have arranged, and the employees are all fully tired and like you can say not active. They became pessimistic, they are not active, so at that time also they need a counseling. So all these things has to be. Then relationship issues might be personal relationship issue and professional relationship issues, both comes over here. Physical health, going to like physical health in the way of might be some of the health issues if there are there, address them, understand them, and help them out. Let them or provide them the habit of being fit and giving the concern to the health. And that can be with the you can give with the refreshments, then lunch facilities, breakfast facilities, time to time tea and coffee and juice, all that things comes over there. Then change can be organization location, organization cities, country, outsourced, and like department changes also, and then team leader changes, colleagues changed, all this has to be addressed. Then personal stress, Personal stress might be their anything, okay? So it's their personal stress, and if they are able to share with the counselor or subordinates or superior in order to, a way of seeking advice and suggestions to deal with that problem, you need to give them a counseling. Then emotional health. Some of the employees are too much emotional that they cry in their pain, but they even cry on the others pain also. Okay, it's a human nature, they do it. But when you need to show your emotion and when you need to hide in a professional life, that is very important to tackle, and that also should be addressed in the way of employee counseling. Then placement, work relationship. Some of the, like some of the team leaders are so rude. They they are they did never listen to their subordinate. They never listen to their colleagues. So such work relationships are toxic, and to deal with them, and that toxic relationship even hampers professional toxic relationship hampers the employee's outcome, organization's outcome. So that should be addressed. Then phobias. Some of the employees might be having a phobia of different phobias, like you can take suppose they were on a first floor. First of all, their department was on a first floor, and due to some things, the department shifted to fifth floor. Some of the employees might have a phobia of height. They might not like to go over there. Some employees might be having a phobia of surrounding with the cabinet type of office. All those phobia has to be addressed, understood, and let them tackle with that. Family issues, then financial problems. And in this financial problem, if an employer and organization can help them, that becomes way of letting them to overcome and so on the work. That can be of like providing them a little bit of overdue. Then after providing bonuses, giving 1 month salary extra in order to deal with their financial issues, might providing their kids education for certain level free, and then letting them to work on that, on bounding with them, that your financial problems will be solved, and you're at a moment, but you keep on working from your salary, certain amount will be deducted in order to get that secured. That can be done. And then work stress. You all know that this is a time when employees do not like to take much work stress, because every employee is not a workaholic type of person. So you need to address, you need to understand, means organization and employers and HR manager has to understand and help them to lower the work stress. Lowering work stress might be uh, overtime reductions, providing them twice a week holidays, letting them flexible work timing. All that can be done. So these are the functions of employee counseling. Then types of counseling. Obviously, there is three types of counseling. First is directive counseling, cooperative counseling, and non-directive counseling. So when it comes with the directive counseling, no, it's like you can say directive counseling over here in this form of counseling. The counselor listens to an employee's emotional difficulty, decides with him what can be done, and then motivates him or her to do it. Means the employee receives advice and reassurance. His or her emotional feeling is released, and she can think with the clarified views. The counselor enthuses the employee to take a workable course of action. It means they just, in this directive counseling, counselor just helps them to show the directions. Choices are all the person who is there to collect the counseling. Okay, so this is directive counseling, means here's the emotional problem, decides what the employee should do, motivates him or her to do the corrective actions, and counselor plays the role of an advisor over here. Then the second one is non-directive counseling. It's totally oppositions of directive counseling. It's a client-oriented process. Let's the counselor to understand his or her problem, and let's the counselor to decide on what he or she should do. Means this is a form of counseling which is even called as client-centered counseling due to the focus on the counselee rather than on the counselor. It involves skillfully listening and inducting the employees to decide his or her emotions of actions. Means the counselor listens with empathy and respect without interrupting the employee. He or she knows that the employee himself or herself is best qualified to solve their own problems. Therefore, the counselor allows the employee to talk about anything which may even seem to be irrelevant. So, non directive counseling is democratic but more time consuming, because in this type of counseling, no, they let the employee vocal out, vomit out all whatever is going in their mind, their heart, and what about the perception of different things. So that might be a way. So directive counseling hears the emotionals, decide what can be done and what not to be done, choose between them, and motivate them to decide on that, and then does it, right? But non-directive is client oriented, means totally of yours. So you say if a employee comes to the subordinates and say that I have this is issues, I'm not able to. So what do you do? Being at that time non-directive counseling. So if this is the you suggest me how it can be tackled. So you ask the suggestions from the persons only, right? But in directive, if they come with the problem, you say okay, this is the thing can be done, this can be done. Now make a choice what you want to do. If you want to go with yes, do it. If you want to go with no, do it. So that is there. Now the third one is cooperative counseling. This is totally in the integrations of both the counseling. Okay, directive and indirective counseling is involved in it. It is neither entirely counselor centered nor entirely counselee centered. So rather, it requires both of them to come forward with their varied knowledge and perspective to resolve the employee's problem in a cooperative manner. Such counselor provides the employee with his or her knowledge and different broadcasting organizational perspectives. So this form of counseling is most appropriate for practicing managers to help resolve day-to-day emotional problems of their employees. So cooperative counseling are mostly subordinates, and the seniors they do it for their team members. But for the direct directive and total non-directive, a company and organization might hire an expert, proficient, or outsource can be done. And if we see the differences of directive and non-directive, directive is economical, non-directive is time consuming. Directive emphasis on the problems, whereas non-directive emphasis on the individual. Directives emphasis on the intellectual aspects, non-directive on the emotional aspects. Directive methodology is direct and persuasive, non-directive is indirect. Directive solves immediate problems, non-directive deals with self-analysis and new problems of adjustment may be taken care of. And then directive uses psychological assessment ideas, whereas non-directive may not use psychological assessments. So these are the differences of directive and non-directive. I hope, guys, you have understood the meaning of basic meaning of counseling, then workplace counseling, employee counseling, need of counseling to the employees, different why, when, and what, then the functions, employee life cycles, and types of employee counseling. Till here, any confusion, guys? Okay, let's go to the next. Now, objective of employee counseling in HR role. Okay, what can be in HR roles in counseling, and what are the benefits of counseling? So, if you are an HR manager or HR assistant, how you can play the role in the counseling? So, number one bullet point is need for counseling can be identified by HR as well as superiors. HR discusses the issue with the relevant supervisor and continuously asks for feedback. Discuss and agree a plan of action with supervisors. Schedule and jointly conduct the counseling session. Conclude the counseling session with warnings if required. Okay. Follow up the action plan and feedback to the superiors and monitor developments. This can be done in order to keep an eye on which employee needs a counseling. That can be done. What are the benefits of counseling? Obviously, it decreases the cost related to turnover, absenteeism, improvement in employees' performance, increases in productivity, manages behavioral problems brought about by organizational change, helps in superior decision making, assists in understanding the situation more objectively, facilitates to look at the situation with a new perspective, and motivates to search for alternate solutions in problems. Till here, any confusion, guys? No, let's go to the counseling process and counseling styles. Okay, obviously, when you go with the counseling process, it's you can say is there are four basic steps which follows. Step one is identify the need. It means preparation stage. This is a preparation stage. Identifying it. So in this, you identify organization, HR manager, superior, subordinates, identifies who needs the counseling. Whether this even it's not that only employees need a counseling, okay? Even organizations sometimes need a counseling, and employees better can give them because this is a 21st century. Over here, organizations or bosses can never be dominative, never be like making them directive in a way. It's like both hands combining together and making the process of work go on a higher basis with the relevant of employees and employers both. So identify the needs. Now then comes prepare for counseling. So if you combine these two, identify the need and step two, prepare for counseling. It's like it's a preparation stage, you can say. In this stage, the aim is to establish, support, or prepare a base for communication. And this stage is very important because it generates the necessary confidence in the sub- subordinates and assures him or her of the counselor genuine interest in helping them. This the counselor should patiently and carefully listen to what the subordinate has to say and respond to the same. Any movement which distracts the subordinate's attention should be avoided. The counselor and the counselee both needs to have a control on their feelings and emotions in such a way as to convey warmth and concern for the both subordinates or the employees. So this is two stages gets combined, two steps get combined and becomes preparation stage. Then comes conduct the session. This is an intermediate stage. In this, when a framework of communication is developed, The counselor seeks more information, which requires the subordinates to do self introspections, means self analysis, self realization, self digging of can be done. Then this stage even helps the employees to explore and understand their and each other's problems. The counselor comes closer to understanding the subordinates and should keep their mind open. Once the problem is mutually agreed upon, the process of understanding begins. So the counselor has to draw the subordinates' attention to possible cause which are within the subordinates' control. Gradually, the counselor can help the subordinate also. So it's like understanding, making the bond clear, making the bridge of communication more stronger, understanding, alright, letting the problem to vocal out, and then bringing out the causes and effects and letting them to reveal the strength and weakness and work on that with the advice, with the choices. Then comes follow up. It's a final stage, which is also known as helping stage. So, at this stage, the counselor assists the subordinates in identifying the alternative solutions to the problems, and the pros and cons of each alternatives are evaluated, understood, and the best course of action is selected. So, the subordinates should be allowed to self monitor the action plan and be assured of all help and support. These counseling sessions should be followed up and reviewed at regular intervals. That is why it's follow up. You should, once you have given a counseling to one of an employee to deal with their personal issues or anything, and that directly or indirectly affecting the work culture, you keep on an eye on and follow up with that one. So seeking a follow up and feedback is needed. And the counseling styles can evaluative style, probing style, supportive, interpersonal, interactive, and reflective. So it's these styles are mostly choices styles in an organization or a sub. You can say an employer or employee both can go with any of these counseling styles, but mostly organizations go with the three types of styles. One is supportive, interpretative, and reflective, evaluative. So for probing, mostly organization used to go on a earlier time period, but now as gone are the days when the employer used to behave that they are the supreme boss of an employee, and employee used to listen, right? But now is a situation that they both get combined to each other. The door to communication is open, the door to sharing idea is open, and what is going between them is very coolly discussed among them. So this comes over there that they choose, a choice is done in a way that it can be handled by an organization. Obviously, a person who thinks that I'm going to be a important aspect of an organization in a way of counseling, what skills they need. A counseling or the counselor who is expert or have been hired or women has to be active listening and empathy. Means do not have a sympathy but have a empathy, means if an employee comes, do wear their shoes and then decides or think or suggest. Then respect the feelings of their employees. Tolerance, if in a way of grumbling, if uh, a person who comes might speak against organization, against superior or if work culture, have a tolerance, understand their mental thing, understand the way of, means having an empathy with the tolerance. Then self-awareness, direction, show the direction, let them choice. Sincerity, if it should not be that one employee came to you and discussed with you, and when you share with another employee members or your colleagues, that should not be there. So if those habits are there, you can never be a great counselor. Then strength and balance, it's very important in a counseling skill. Strength means able to listen different issues, different conflicts, understanding and tackling with the frustrations, depressions, stress, and different illogical aspects, irrelevant issues of an employee, and balancing them. So, what is not counseling? Okay, people say that advising done by the counselor. No, it's not. Then, psychotherapy, treatment of severe mental illness, is not a counseling. Solving all life's problem is not a counseling. So these things are not a counseling. Then counseling process. Some organizations go with the 4 stages, but some even go with the 5, 6 stages. One is rebuilding, relationship building. First they build up the relations, then they do the assessment and diagnosis, then formulation of counseling goals is settled, intervention and problem solving, termination and follow up, and then research and evaluations. Very less organizations go with the 6 days because they do not want the counseling process on a very lengthy way or time consuming. Now, various employee counseling process can be simply talking with an employee, focusing on their behaviors, enlisting the employee's assistance, establish a meaning of monitoring, then emphasize the consequences and offer encouragements. So can be done by HR manager also, HR assistant also, a superior or team leader. It can be done. And if there is real high requirement of hiring an expert or letting in permanent counselor at your organization, that is another thing which is done by the organization. So factors affecting organizational counseling, it might be types of problem, attitudes of frustrated person, types or nature of the industry, willingness of counselor, trade unions, position of employee in the industry, social status of employee or frustrated persons, policy of the industry, government rules and regulations, ease of the employee, cause of the frustrations, problems, past experiences, duration of frustration or problems, influencing or inaspiration power of counselor, information available in counselor's hand, background of the employee, difference between counselor and client, clarity of thinking of counselor, decision taking power of the counselor, attitude of counselor towards client. And always remember that coaching is not a counseling. Okay, so what is the difference, slight difference between coaching and counseling? Coaching is used when teaching a new job skill, an employee is new to the group or department, an employee needs preparation for more challenging work assignments, an employee needs to develop self-confidence, means providing knowledge of some software technology. That can be. And counseling is when an employee has a conflict with a PO, persistence performance problem exists, an employee has job related behavior problems, an employee needs help in setting priorities. And these are the different forms which are, can say, HR department keeps on sending to their employees for the, and figuring out with these reports and forms, they figure out who needs the counselors. So let's see, understand the conclusion of the last. What we understood, what acknowledged, we knowledge we aspired with the session of today's is that employee counseling is a process of guiding and assisting employees in improving their attitudes, behaviors, and performance. Conflicts, frustrations, depressions, stress creates the need for employee counseling. Advice, reassurance, communication, release of tension, clarified thinking, reorientations are the functions of employee collectives. The directive, non directive, and cooperative are the main forms of employee counseling. Understanding of self behavior, environment, and interpersonal effectiveness are the main objectives of employee counseling. There are three main steps in counseling process: preparation, intermediate, and helping stages. Desire to improve, dialogue, mutual trust, right attitudes, efforts, and right focus are the requirements of effective counseling. So, thank you for this session. Any questions which you guys want me to answer? Anything? Any confusion? Please revert me back. Hello. Are you guys able to listen me? All clear. Very good, Assis.